I think we're just beginning. We've got the two things supporting the market: the macro overview, the Fed lowering interest rates, wanting to stimulate the economy, and then secondly, the Bitcoin internals. So the dynamics there, the halvening that's coming up in 2 weeks, and usually that's been bullish, probably a little bit less so this cycle than prior cycles, but I said a year ago, pound the table time to invest in Bitcoin. Now I would say, we're in a bull market, expect corrections of 20 to 25%, but this is a good time for Bitcoin from both the macro and the internal dynamics.
But has that cycle, the historical cycle, changed? Traditionally, we'd see the halving happen and then sort of Bitcoin hit the all-time highs after that. Sort of that demand or that price action almost been pulled forward by the ETF. So is there further to run? If so, then how much in your view?
Yeah, look, I think Bitcoin, the way I describe it, it's a maturing asset, meaning, maybe it was an 8-year-old last year and maybe a 12-year-old now that it has SEC approval. So there's lots of things happening, regulatory approval, but a lot of investors yet to get involved. So that's happening on top of the macro and Bitcoin, kind of internal dynamics that I was talking about.
Over the years, we've had numerous theories about what Bitcoin is, what the value is really of this cryptocurrency, whether it's digital gold, a store of value, whether it's a means of transaction. Yeah. In your view, where do we stand right now in terms of what Bitcoin's value is over the longer term?
Look, it's a store of value. It's got limited supply. It's the same appeal as gold. And I don't know how people, look, you can't prove a narrative, but I don't know how you can really challenge it since gold and Bitcoin hit all-time highs this year and in 21. So it's really, they're really moving in tandem. It may not be on a day-to-day basis, but, and so that's why I think, I know that all our gold clients, we've been doing gold since 1968 at VanEck, so a lot of them are looking at Bitcoin to supplement their gold holdings.
And just moving on to those ETFs then that were approved by the US SEC, it's a very competitive market right now. You've slashed your fees, I think, on the ETF to zero. Is this a realization of that sort of extreme competitiveness, and do you expect some of these ETFs to go away?
I don't know about go away. We were the first to file for, first ETF sponsor to file for a Bitcoin ETF in 2017. It was a little disappointing that we weren't the first to get approved. But listen, we're in it for the long term, and I think that the other firms really that are sponsoring Bitcoin ETFs in the U.S. are committed to it, so I think they'll be around for a while.
And the narrative was really this is going to bring in the big institutions who are perhaps on the sidelines for a while in this market. Has that happened yet?
I think it's a different narrative, actually. To me, it's that it's legal to own Bitcoin in the U.S. You don't understand, like when we launched our first gold fund in 1968, it was illegal for Americans to own gold bullion. We had to invest in gold mining shares. So I think it's that legal approval that's the first step. It's just very early for many institutions. There's no private bank in the U.S. that has approved their advisors to call customers to invest in Bitcoin. So zero. So we have a long ways to go before it's fully adopted.
And all eyes now really on Ethereum and whether there's an ETF in the U.S. to market. I know you've got an Ethereum exchange-traded product here in Europe, yeah. But are you planning to launch anything in the U.S. for an Ethereum ETF?
We're first to file as well for Ethereum in the U.S., and we and ARK, Kathy Wood, are kind of the first in line for May, I guess, to probably be rejected. So
you're not expecting the SEC to approve those?
No. The way the legal process goes is the regulators will give you comments on your application, and that happened for weeks and weeks before the Bitcoin ETFs, and right now pins are dropping as far as Ethereum is concerned.